Hello, I'm Sheila Pearl, Relationship and Life Transitions Coach. I'd like to talk about the fountain of youth today. So from the beginning of time, I think most people were looking for, and still are looking for, the fountain of youth. The problem is they're looking in all the wrong places. The fountain of youth is really within you. It's about those juices that flow throughout our bodies. It's about the water that comprises more than 70% of our bodies. It's about being in the flow of life. It's about being in the stream of life. So I'm here to share with you how you can, as I have and others I know, really claim for yourself the fountain of youth. There's a program that I'm beginning called The 3 Keys to Unchain Your Sensuality. And those keys are about opening the doors that maybe you've locked up without meaning to, without realizing you were, as I did when I was in my 40s, 50s, and early 60s. I began to shut down all the channels to the juices that made my life flow with youth and vitality. I didn't realize what was happening. I didn't realize that I was my own source of the fountain of youth. And so in this program, this coaching program called The 3 Keys to Unchain Your Sensuality, we apply 3 elements that are so fundamental to childhood and part of our natural wiring that as we get older, as the decades fly by, we forget. And so these 3 keys are what I call the WPR of unchaining your sensuality and mine, of opening all of the doorways and the channels to those life-giving waters flowing through you all the time. The first key is the key of wonder. I want to tell you a story that my grandmother wrote about when she was a young mother with my uncle. She tells the story where she was out with her little boy who was 3 years old, my Uncle Bob. And Bobby called to Nana, my grandmother, saying, Mommy, come quick, come quick. She ran over to his side, and she wondered, what in the world is it? And he said, Mommy, come look, come quick. She looks around, she thought, well, maybe he sees a bunny rabbit, or maybe a butterfly. And he's standing in the meadow, going like this. And my grandmother said, Bobby, what is it? He says, Mommy, look, it's a meadow. Now, there are times I can go to the waterfront and look out at the sun rising or the sun setting and have a sense of wonder. There are times I've been on vacation and I look out at a meadow and I look at the flowers over there, and I look at the mountains over there, and I look at the stream flowing, and I look at the the waterfall, and I say to myself, wow. But it doesn't happen, or it didn't happen, as often as it might have happened when I was a child. And so the fountain of youth can be opened to all of us when we open the channels to wonder, to curiosity, to a sense of awe. You know what's the most important sense of awe? Is with the people that you've been living with for a long time and you forgot to pay attention and to look at them with fresh eyes. Marcel Proust has often written about how it's important to look at the fountain of youth as having fresh eyes, looking at something anew. And so I'm inviting you to reclaim for yourself that essential part of all of us that we're born with, that capacity for wonder. The second key is play. Again, I'm getting back to the wonderful elements that we're naturally born with. We're wired to be playful and mischievous and inventive. And if you watch any children at play, they can play with anything. They can play with a paper bag. They just love to invent new ways to have fun. And so the element of playful, fun, to find ways to giggle, to find ways to poke fun, make fun, laugh a lot. So being playful is part of what opens up those doors that we've locked, where we start to play and we giggle and we laugh and we let loose channels of energy that have been locked up maybe for decades. And the third key is the element of risk. You know, that childlike, fearless quality where they're going to be willing to just almost do anything because they just want to move forward in life. A child really doesn't know that much about comfort zones. As we walk into our 20s and our 30s, we've already experienced what it's like to be rejected or laughed at or left out, and we want to feel safe. We don't want to risk. We don't want to feel what it feels like to be disappointed. And so we shut down those channels that when they're open, we fly. We fly when we're willing to be fearless. We fly when we're willing to even acknowledge, I have fear, but I'm going to do it anyway. I remember years ago when I was in 8th grade, I was president of the student body of my middle school. And I was terrified to speak. But as president, I was supposed to get up and say something. And I remember getting up and feeling I had cotton in my mouth, and my knees felt like they were rubber, and I was afraid I was going to faint. I was terrified, but I really wanted to be president. So I drank some water, and I dealt with that cotton in my mouth, and it was really uncomfortable. But the first couple of times I did it, I kind of got through it, then I kind of enjoyed it. Years later, I became an opera singer. And early on, I was terrified to go out on the stage. I didn't want to make a fool of myself. I didn't want to fall flat on my face, but I wanted to sing. So I felt the fear, but I risked everything in going out on the stage and opening up my mouth and making that sound, and not really quite sure what was going to come out, but it worked. Maybe sometimes better than others, but I risked. When we get into our 50s, 60s, and 70s, maybe we're afraid to risk. Maybe we're afraid we're going to look silly. Maybe we're afraid to go into uncharted territories. But when we're willing to risk and to step into our fear, do the very thing we're afraid of, do it anyway, we feel victorious. Those get your juices going, don't they? So stay with me. Visit my website. Sign up for my next program where you can be on this journey, where you can unlock the chains that have been holding you back and unchain your sensuality, unchain that part of you that wants to really join the party. See you soon.